What was your worst hotel stay experience, and what made it so terrible? My dad went to a hotel once and checked into a first floor room. He went in the room, put his stuff down, opened the curtains, and a man was hiding there. My dad went, "Excuse me," closed the curtains, got his stuff and left. Went to the front desk to explain that a man was hiding in his room. Turns out the guy had just robbed a place and somehow got into the room with an open window. I needed to find a hotel in Dayton, Ohio, because of my daughter's gymnastics competition. I read online reviews and the travel lodge there got good reviews. The price was good too, so I booked it. I had difficulty finding it because it was dark and their sign wasn't lit. Parking lot was pitch black. Just outside the entrance there were two sketchy guys that looked like they were negotiating a drug deal. Inside the motel lobby was dimly lit with flickering lights. The room was no better. Stained sheets, holes in the bedspread and hair in the shower. The fitness room consisted of a stair stepper that was broken and an old TV on the ground that was also broken. I told the front desk that I wanted to cancel our reservation. She said, "I don't blame you. This place is gross. I had an interview at Kohl's and hope they hire me so I can quit this place." The bathroom locked from the outside. If you accidentally shut the door all the way, you had to have someone in the room open the door for you when you were done. If you were by yourself, you were sole until someone came back, or you called the front desk from the bathroom to send someone up. This was pre-mainstream cell phone usage, so you may not have had your phone on you at all times. Needless to say, we got our stay comped. On a work trip I was put in the most disgusting hotel room, to the point where I didn't feel comfortable and couldn't sleep. A pile of dirt and dust in the corner that I imagine would take years to accumulate. Brown stains on the lampshades. Food under the bed. Water damage in the pictures and picture frames. The whole room smelled moldy. The headrear was sticky. TV remote was sticky and covered in food. Stuff all over the walls. Hair in the shower. The toilet bowl was stained red. Everything felt gross and grimy. Hot water didn't work in my room. Cold showers anyone. I felt like a walking zombie that work trip. It felt so disgusting I really couldn't sleep. My coworker in the next room over, his room door didn't fully shut, and he used the latch at the top to close it. The door was still open a couple inches, and he put a chair in front of the door, and didn't sleep at all that trip either. Edit. The hotel room on my last work trip was much nicer. Getting stuck in an elevator with 2 children under the age of 6 for 3 hours. You know that little emergency phone they have in elevators? Well, it turns out they connect you to some idiot sitting in an office somewhere who does not even have any know-how or tools to do anything to help. The moron I talked to had no idea of that elevator or town I was in, and no idea of how to contact the hotel or 911 in the area. The only help he offered was to tell us to ring the alarm bell until staff responded. Then he hung up on us. Well, after ringing the bell for a good 20 minutes a staff member did investigate. It turned out we were stuck between floors. She managed to pry open the doors from her side. She told us that, since it was a Sunday evening, and we were in a remote place, nobody would be available to fix the elevator until Monday. As a last resort my kids, my wife and I all had to squeeze through a narrow gap between the floor of the building and the roof of the elevator. Had that elevator decided to keep going down at the wrong moment we would have been chopped in half. What did the hotel do about it? Absolutely nothing. At least until I wrote a bad review online. Then they contacted me and offered a free night for a future stay. After I expressed my opinion regarding that idea they relented and refunded some of my money. Checked into a casino hotel in Shreveport, La. Put our stuff in the room and then went to the casino. Came back hours later and could not get into our room. Traipsed to the front desk to find out why the card key was not working. Was informed that our room had to be exterminated due to an infestation. When I inquired what type of infestation, I was told that the desk clerk was not allowed to divulge that information. Got hotel manager, and he led us back to our room, let us in, and the place was tossed, furniture overturned, mattress off of bed, etc. There was out luggage and belongings pretty much where we left them. Manager then took us to our new room, and gave us the key cards for it. I asked how the hell do you check someone into a room then discover it is infested with whatever? He was unable to adequately answer my question. I asked him about what type of extermination chemicals they used, because our stuff had been exterminated as well. He again could not comment. Wound up throwing out any consumables, didn't wear anything from our luggage, and checked out early the next morning, never to return again to that hotel. When we got home, washed everything in the hottest water available. As an aside, itched for a couple of days afterward, but this was probably power of suggestion. Happened over Christmas time in China. Came back to the hotel after dropping my boyfriend off at the airport, so was clearly not in the best mood, only to find a lot of my belongings moved around the room and items missing, including my passport. There was food that she moved into the bathroom. My deodorant was in the shower and my shower gel was on the TV cabinet. Things were taken out of my suitcase and other items were put into my suitcase. Jewelry was on the floor, etc. Just really random stuff had been moved. I had to go to reception and try to speak Mandarin. I was studying and explain the situation. My passport was the main issue and I managed to get it back, but I had gifts from my mum that were thrown out. Turns out the cleaner had taken my passport with the sheets to the laundry room, which is crazy as it was actually in a cupboard. No safe available. Checked out 2 weeks early and got a refund for all the missing items as she admitted to throwing them away, but she wouldn't say anything about why she had gone through my things or why she had moved anything. Went to an MTG tournament in Baltimore, stayed in a Motel 6 because we couldn't get our shit together and get a room at a decent hotel sooner. The place was about a block from the light rail, which went right to the convention center. That was about the highest point of the whole trip. Apart from food poisoning and my binder worth a few thousand getting stolen, the room had a decided dip in one corner where I'm sure the floor was rotting away. When it rained, the bathroom started to leak through the light fixture, and our bonehead room had put all the towels underneath it instead of, I don't know, the garbage can, which meant we couldn't dry off too well the second day. I know it was more or less our own fault for not acting faster before hotel prices jumped, but the place was a shithole even by Motel 6 standards. At the peak of Comdex's popularity in Las Vegas, I got stuck at the Tropicana. In those days, the infrastructure in Vegas couldn't handle the Comdex influx. My flight landed at midnight, but it took me until 4 AM to get to the hotel and wait through a 300-person line at the front desk. When I finally collapsed in my bed and entered that hazy almost asleep state, it occurred to me that I was wet. Why should I be wet? I thought hazily. Then my eyes snapped open. I should not be wet. I jumped out of bed and pulled the covers back to see that piss had soaked out of the mattress and the sheets were soaked and yellow with it. Clearly the maids had realized that the previous guest had pissed the bed as they had placed a towel under the fitted sheet. So, yeah, I had been lying in someone else's piss. BTW, this was my second room, as the first room they gave me a key to was occupied by a startled man and his tighty whities. The first one that comes to mind for me is staying at a nicer property about 7 miles away from Disneyland in Anaheim. Did our check-in. Our room was plenty nice. We came back after park close to rest our weary bones, and I head to the bathroom to ready for bed. In the bathroom is a large puddle, and low the ceiling is leaking. So of course I call the front desk, and they try at first to suggest that we can still sleep there. I was firm that no, we are not staying in a room with a leak. So they move us into a new room, and by this time it's about 2 AM. I asked the manager if we could do a later checkout, since we will now not be getting much sleep, and they agree. Morning comes, we go to check out, and the day people hand me my bill. $150 charge for late checkout. I explained that we were given permission for the late checkout, that it should be in the record, since we are checking out from a different room than we checked into, and that they should call the night people to confirm if there's a question, but the day clerk is just not buying it. 10 minutes of going back and forth, essentially threatening me that they would call the cops if I refused to pay the bill, me promising a chargeback, and a dispute with the credit card, etc. I was polite but firm, by East Coast standards, lol, and I said frankly I'm not leaving here until you call the night manager. She goes to the office to make the call, and about 5 minutes later comes back with her tail between her legs and takes the charge off our bill, like she's doing us a favor. I was beyond pissed that I had to battle with them on doing the right thing, and they turned what would have been a forgivable experience into a masterclass on bad customer service. I've stayed in some dingy rooms over the years, but this was by far the worst I've ever been treated at a hotel.